It's big back time.
Currently in the supermarket. This Starbucks is actually where I started my business actually. I was overall making over 6 figures, and to leave that job to go into online coaching and Instagram, at the time I had like 500 followers.
You can still eat this stuff every now and then.
Alright, today's vlog starts off with us doing laundry. The laundry at home broke, so I have to go out to the laundromat. We got home pretty late last night, and as a result I woke up pretty late this morning, which is not ideal. I think one thing I've learned over my journey so far is that it's really important to build boundaries. You know, obviously it's fun to stay out late and spend time with people, but you also have to understand, 26 minutes. Anyway, there's a cost to everything, right? So if you are going to stay out late and you're going to prioritize more fun, then that's going to cost you to some degree, you know? And in my case, it was waking up a bit later. And normally I do my deep work in the morning, which is basically where I spend 2 to 3 hours doing a task for the day, something to build the business, something to move the business forward. But because I prioritize, what we were doing last night, I guess I missed out on my deep work session this morning, which is fine. I think there are things that are worth compromising for, and then things that are not worth compromising for. And earlier on in my journey, I basically tried to please everyone around me. I was a massive people pleaser. And as a result of that, I would say yes to everything. And I didn't really realize that in the process, I was actually saying no to myself. So if you're going to take anything away from this, learn to say no a little bit more, right? Because everything that you say yes to, you are potentially saying no to yourself. All right, so we're currently in the supermarket getting honey. And the only reason why I'm recording this is because I kind of want to get like a bit more comfortable recording in public. And right now, there's like 5 people looking at me like, why is this guy walking around talking to a camera? But I think it's okay. So what I've learned is you just got to pretend like no one's around. But the problem is like, what if I bump into someone I know? Like, actually, no, that'd be okay, right?
Yes, Alan. It's okay. Do what you love and don't hold back. Cringe is a mindset that will set you back from doing what you want. Be free.
Anyway, yeah. What honey should we get?
This is the best peanut butter.
All right, that's it. We're gonna pay. Alright, so we just wrapped up 2 hours at Starbucks. I had to map out some content for the week and then also prep some files for my new editor who's coming on board. Last week, my old editor finished up her last week at the company because she got an opportunity at an art fair that she is now going to go all in on. Long story short, when she first came on board with me, she told me that her ambitions were actually in the art sector, but she didn't necessarily have the confidence to go off on her own and go all in that sector. So through the last 6 to 8 months of, I guess, working in timeless coaching, she's not only worked as an editor, but I've really tried my best to help her grow as a person. I've really tried my best to help her see her talents and see that she's capable of more. And as a result of that, she now goes off on her own and takes that leap of faith. And unfortunately, she leaves the company, but I'm happy for her. You know, anyone that works with me, my goal is just to help them be a better version of themselves. They're not just here to work for me, they work alongside me. And if they grow and to the point where, you know, they want to go and take their own opportunities, I'm more than happy for that. So she actually recommended me a new editor who's a friend of hers. So I'm taking him on board, and I actually want to have him be more of a creative director. So right now our content is primarily on Instagram, and I'd love to start YouTube. I'd love to start posting on multi-channels, but obviously there's a lot of workload that's involved with that. So hopefully he can come on and really help me manage the workload a lot easier. It also seems that he has a very just overall creative brain. So my hope is that he's also able to help me with the overall creative direction. It's really hard to find someone who understands your vision, your purpose, your mission, and is able to create that or create that through video and through editing. So that's that. So I had to prepare some files for him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I actually also wanted to share bit of a story actually. Back in 2023, early 2023, this Starbucks is actually where I kind of started my business actually. This is when my employer had given me an ultimatum. So I was working as a gym manager and as a personal trainer. At the time, I was also trying to kind of like slowly start up with Instagram, create content. I didn't really know what direction I was taking it, but I dabbled in online coaching or dabbled into the thought of doing online coaching. And long story short, he saw me posting content and he basically said, if I am going to start creating content online, then I have to leave the company. And at the time, it didn't really make sense because his demographic and my demographic were completely different. And it was pretty sad because at the very start, when I joined him, he had told me that he would be supportive of me if I was to do something like that and go off on my own and start my own business, and he would, allow me to do so. But for whatever reason, when I started doing that, he kind of gave me an ultimatum of either leaving or like stopping social media and staying at the company, or leaving the company and going off on my own. And at the time, it was a pretty scary decision because I was the manager of the gym. So I obviously had a base pay there, and I also had, a full-time roster of clients as well. So I was overall making over 6 figures, and to leave that job that was paying me 6 figures to go into online coaching and Instagram. At the time, I had like 500 followers. I had 0 online clients. And when I left that company, I only had like 6 clients or so that followed me over. So I guess like when I started online coaching, I only had 6 clients who transitioned from personal training to then online coaching. And at the time, I didn't even have my system set up. I didn't even really know how to coach them online. So I remember leaving that job, and then I invested in my very first mentor. Like, that's a story for another day. That mentorship, basically, it cost me everything that I had in my bank account at the time. And I just decided to go all in on online coaching. I believe it was 15 grand. Yes, it was 15 grand. It was everything that I had at the time. And I decided to go all in on online coaching. And I remember for the first 6 months after leaving that job, I would sit here in this Starbucks like pretty much every single day for 6 to 8 hours a day, just trying to create different forms of content, trying to create Instagram stories, trying to, create whatever I could to gain traction. And when you first start social media, like, you suck. Like, everyone just sucks. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I just remember being in here and just working, 6 to 8 hours every single day, and just trying to make it work, just trying to make it work. And after those 6 months, I remember putting out a post. I put out a post where I was like, I'm looking for a couple of people to join my program. And then on that day, I signed up 15 clients. So, and that was my first big break. I went from having, I think, like 2-3 clients to having like 18 clients. And that's when I realized that, wow, this is possible. This is really, really possible. And I gave my all to those 15 clients. I got them amazing results, and they referred onwards, and I started gaining traction. And it's kind of how I am in the position that I am now. And sometimes when I need a change of environment, I come here and I work, and it's kind of like a bit surreal working in this environment, to kind of know that 2-3 years ago, I was sitting here, trying to make it work, and, here we are. I wouldn't say like I've made it or anything, but I think it's always important to look back and see how far you've come. And that's something that I wish I had done a little bit more earlier. I remember my first mentor, something that he always tried to get me to do is at every single milestone, he would encourage me to go and celebrate. So he would say like, oh, you know, go and do a dinner or go and buy yourself a watch or go and, you know, travel somewhere for a week. But to me, I was so stuck in the hustle and grind that I didn't see the value of going to celebrate. You know, to me, I was just like, what's the point? I'm just going to move on to the next milestone. And now I look back and I kind of regret going down that way or like that approach, because it got to a point where I had achieved everything that I had ever wanted, and like felt empty inside. And I look back and I realized the reason why I felt empty inside was because I never got to really celebrate the moments across the course of the journey. So I now really encourage people, especially my clients, whether it be fitness or whether it be business, like always celebrate the milestones that you set for yourself, because that's what makes it meaningful. You know, that's what makes it meaningful. And when you celebrate, you get to attach a memory with an achievement, and that's what makes it special. So if you are on a journey of some kind, working towards something, again, whether it be fitness, business, or anything else, make sure that you, number one, set goals so that you have clarity on where you're headed. But when you hit those goals, make sure you celebrate, because if you don't celebrate, then, you know, why are you working so hard for?
Quick snack.
It's big back time.
We're gonna eat this, get the laundry, go home, and eat dinner. I had 500 calories left, so I decided to go get a Go bucket. This is like proof that you can still eat this stuff every now and then. I'm quite literally a fitness coach, so it's alright. You know, 80-20. Fundamentally, if you have good nutritional habits most of the time, this gives you the leeway to have this stuff every now and then. Most people actually don't eat that poorly. They just have a perception that whenever you eat this stuff, it's bad and you've ruined everything. Just once you've eaten this. It's not really the food that is bad. It's typically how people react, because they'll eat this, they have this perception that they've done something really bad, and then they go on an emotional spiral, and then they eat even worse because they feel like they've already ruined everything, and then that is typically what leads to people going backwards. If you learn to regulate your emotions and you learn to stay grounded, you have a bit more education, you have a good relationship with food, then you can have this stuff every now and then, you don't emotionally spiral, and then you can just go back to eating like normal. So, yeah.